Hello. It's October 1st, and this is a special time for myself and the followers of ML Miller Frights and ML Miller Writes. That special date means it's time to start counting down to the best in horror released in theaters, streaming, on demand, digital download, and any other form of mass consumption since the beginning of October 2020. Any horror film released between October 1st, 2020 and September 30th, 2021 qualifies, but you have to have that special something to actually make the list. For the last decade plus, I've offered up my picks for the best in horror in October, celebrating my favorite month all through Halloween, and I'm keeping it going again this year. How do I choose these films? Well, I start my list and add and subtract from it throughout the year after watching and reviewing horror films, and if you check out my site, mlmillerwrites.com, you'll know I review a lot. What's not in contention of being on the list this year? Well, if it wasn't released in the last year, it isn't on the list. That means no films released after October 1st, 2021, like Halloween Kills or Antlers. I also don't do that thing a lot of critics do and list movies that I've seen in advanced screenings or in festivals or what have you. I always groan when some elitist critic lists a film they saw at a festival and place it somewhere high on their list. Why list it if the viewer can't see it? Doesn't make any sense to me. So even though I've seen some awesome stuff at fests and in previews, I'll wait until they're released wide before listing them. Finally, as an added bonus, I like to pair each pick with another film that might not have made it into the list, but stood out as something interesting, sometimes similarly themed, sometimes on the fringe of the horror genre, sometimes just missing the list by a skosh. These aren't necessarily meant to be a sequential continuation from the main list, but they're just a chance to talk about more than one film in each post. As always, please support the channel by liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell for notifications. It really does help me, and it takes no time at all to do. ML Miller Frights really is something I love doing, and by you doing that, I can improve the channel and provide more content for you all to enjoy. This is ML Miller Frights' Best in Horror Countdown 2020-2021. Number 31. So let's get started with the Best in Horror 2021 with number 31, Fried Berry, a truly gonzo, grindhousey, perverse acid trip of an alien possession film from South Africa. Fried Berry was released on May 7th, 2021, and it's streaming now on Shudder. It's directed by Ryan Kruger and written by Ryan Kruger and James C. Williamson. Berry, played by Gary Green, is a junkie, an abusive husband, and an all-around jerkhole. After going on yet another bender, he's abducted by a UFO, and his body is inhabited by an alien entity. The alien takes Barry's body out to experience what it is like to be a human, and encounters a world full of sex, violence, massive amount of drugs, and maybe the meaning of love and life. Fried Berry is a twisted version of Being There, where an innocent is thrust forward into the real world, a stranger in a strange land. While Peter Sellers' Chauncey Gardner ended up in a mansion and possibly the White House, Berry is met with drugs, sex, and violence galore. The film offers up a more nihilistic world viewpoint, but damn it if it isn't a fun one, as Berry has one hell of a night out on the town. Filmmaker Ryan Kruger delivers less of a coherent narrative, but more of a stream of consciousness fever dream style, as Berry wanders in and out of people's stories, sometimes observing them doing some kind of sick and twisted deed, other times participating or intervening. Berry, in his alien form, proves to be an almost Christ-like figure, as he heals the sick, performs miracles, and even rises from the dead as he wanders through this unnamed South African city. This isn't a pretty world he inhabits. It's filled with prostitutes, gangs, junkies, and lowlifes. Some want to help, others want to hurt, while others simply are trying to survive. By framing the world through the innocent and alien eyes of Berry, it strips away all familiarity and shows the world for the truly hostile place that it sometimes is. There's a real stank on this world Berry wanders around in, reminiscent of the way New York was depicted in the 70s by Scorsese and Ferrara and Henenlotter. The film makes plenty of references to a myriad of 80s sci-fi movies, but it reminds me the most of Starman, as Berry walks aimlessly and emotionlessly, experiencing the environment around him. Gary Green has done small parts and stunt work before Fried Barry, but this is the first time he's been a lead actor, and his odd looks and awkward demeanor give him a truly unique and iconic persona that will most likely give him a cult status from here on out. Green's facial expressions alone are completely out there, comically exaggerated, and often downright horrifying. Kruger definitely has an eye for making off-kilter and twisted sequences. His editing style is impeccable. It really does barrage the viewer with imagery, light, and sound. The sound design here is excellent, and it's truly unique. Fried Barry has a dangerous and grindhousey and unpredictable feel that takes no prisoners. He gets down and dirty into the muck of humanity with his alien-possessed derelict, while still managing to inject some humanity into the story. Fried Barry has trippy visuals, gross-out scenes, perverse situations, twisted characters, and surprisingly intellectual metaphors. It's as much about humanity as it is about the inhumanity of the world, like an uplifting message wrapped in a cum sock. Fried Barry is a wonderfully creative and unique little horror gem that will please those who like their horror on the grungy and unconventional side. Today's bonus film of note is an equally grungy, grimy, and perverse little number called The Special. The Special was released October 13th, 2020. It's available on demand and digital download from Red Hound Films. It's directed by B. Harrison Smith, and it's written by James Newman and Mark Steensland. When Mike, played by Dave Sheridan, finds his best buddy Jerry, Davey Rafferty, down in the dumps, after finding out his wife might be cheating on him, they go out drinking, of course. After a few too many beers, Mike takes Jerry to an exclusive brothel to experience The Special. It turns out The Special is not a prostitute, but a box that you slide your penis into. Once Jerry does it, he has the best sexual experience of his life. Soon, it's all Jerry can think about. But Mike won't take Jerry back to the secret home of The Special, stating that once is enough for any man. And with Jerry being blindfolded and drunk that first night, he doesn't know how to track it down. But through some sleuthing, Jerry is able to locate the brothel and steals The Special for himself. Thus begins a slow descent into addiction, murder, and madness for Jerry, who has fallen deeply in love with whatever it is in this box called The Special. Reminiscent of such sleazy gore fests of the 80s like Slime City Massacre, Street Trash, and some of the best Frank Henenlotter's body horror films like Basket Case and Brain Damage, The Special is a depraved and twisted film. It's the type of film that you feel like you need a long, hot shower after watching, but can't look away because the story is so compelling. There are all kinds of gooey and gory effects that will make you squirm in your seat, especially in the final moments of the film. But even from the beginning, as Jerry is dumb and curious enough to slide his member into a hole in a box, there is a dirty smuttiness about this film that really got under my skin, and I think it will yours too. For the type of film this is, everything from the acting and production of The Special is top-notch. Raffaele is perfect as the naive and in-over-his-head Jerry, who becomes a slave to his own base desires once he experiences The Special. Dave Sheridan has been a comedic character actor for years, but really does a great job as Mike, who may be a little sleazy, but is still a well-intentioned friend. The Special even has thematic heft as it delves into sexual addiction and how that affects a marriage. The Special itself and the way it becomes Jerry's dirty little secret that is damaging his marriage can be seen as a strong metaphor for online porn addiction, prostitution, gambling, alcoholism, and drug addiction. Seeing Jerry's relationship with his wife crumble is handled in a serious and detailed manner that gives the movie more power than the goofy premise should allow. If you're the type of viewer that doesn't mind getting a little grimy while watching a film, The Special has your name all over its slimy, viscous surface. This is a marvelously effective little sleaze fest that you most definitely won't forget after watching. Come back tomorrow for the next installment to the Best in Horror Countdown 2021. If you hit all the pertinent bells and whistles down below, you're sure never to miss it. Thanks so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside